Welcome back to Switch to Linux. Well, today we want to talk about what's going on down in Mexico. Is it now illegal to install Linux on your computer? This is what we heard on the news the other day on Friday, and I hadn't heard anything about this. And so I looked into it a little bit, and I got the lowdown. Of course, I had to get the lowdown on articles from Mexico because nobody across the world is talking about this. And a lot of the reason is because it's actually not anything super significant. But let's go ahead and talk about what happened here. Part of this was a political thing. There was recently a treaty between Canada, Mexico, and United States that dealt with unifying some of the laws between them. And one of those major laws had to actually deal with what's at the heart and the center of the right to repair bills, and also what is at the center of DRM and DRM locks. So this is any form of digital padlock to protect intellectual property. So you buy a book on Amazon through your Kindle, and if you happen to get a book that has DRM lock on it, then you cannot circumvent that lock and distribute that book anywhere else. You can't even circumvent that lock and watch it, read it on your own device that's not the Kindle attached to your account. That's kind of the premise of what is going on. Now, as part of this treaty, Mexico had to bring some of its laws and rules back up in alignment with the US laws and rules about copyright and DRM. Now, ultimately, this is a bad thing because it basically pushed a lot of the bad right to repair stuff that we're still fighting against here in the United States. It just forced it on people in Mexico. So when they're talking about you can't replace the hard drive on your computer, that's actually not true. What they're saying is anything that happens to be DRM locked onto the hardware devices, you will not be able to replace that type of lock, at least legally. They're targeting, of course, the small businesses that are getting out there and making a living by repairing phones. Because not every company, but Apple specifically, has been DRM locking nearly every component of the iPhone to their device. And it's not too unreasonable to see iPads and maybe even the new Mac falling under this as well. So what this does is it forces that if somebody buys an Apple device, you have absolutely no option to repair it at the manufacturer. Curiously, the other group that has to fight with this a lot is your farmers. Here in America, your farmers are always battling John Deere because the latest John Deere tractors are all completely DRM locked. You cannot go in and repair your tractor without the DRM tools that John Deere makes. And this is why, curiously, the small business repair guys like Louis Rossmann and the small tractor repair guys are joining forces and battling right to repair. Well, what happened in Mexico is this law passed that basically brought all of these things onto the federal level in Mexico, much like we sort of quasi have on the books. We actually don't have any laws against it or for it, but what we're seeing is the companies are claiming a copyright violation for breaking the DRM to repair somebody's device. That's kind of what's at the center of this. Now, if your device is DRM locked, like your Apple device, you can't swap the memory chip on one Apple device for another because of the DRM lock, but there's nothing in a basic PC, for example, that DRM locks your hard drive to your machine. So yes, you're allowed to replace the hard drive in your machine. You don't have any restriction against that under this current law because there's no DRM lock. Now, is there an issue maybe with replacing half of your computer components if you're on running Windows 10 without violating the license? Yeah, and there you're going to get a little bit of dicey situation. But there's also nothing that locks your Windows 10 operating system onto your computer on a DRM lock, and it's your computer. You still do have, to my understanding, in Mexico, the right to install whatever operating system you have. So that's your simple answer, is that no, Mexico did not restrict you from installing custom ROMs or things on the devices that you control. What they did is they brought laws in consistent with the United States and Canada about copyright protections, DRM, and things. Now, is that like, oh, no big deal? Absolutely not. There's still stupid rules. There's stupid rules in the United States. There's stupid rules in Canada. I understand why they're on the books. They have to deal with copyright. Okay, I I completely stand that if I create a content, I should be able to have that content protected under the law. And we do. But what I don't want to see is I do not want somebody to buy my book on an Amazon Kindle and not be able to say, you know what, I bought this book on Kindle when I didn't realize the dangers of using Kindle, and now I'd like to use FB Reader and take my book and put this on my own device. I'm not distributing it to anybody else. I'm using it just for myself. Well, it is a violation of the law to get around the DRM to unlock that book and use it on your own private device, even though you actually bought the book. That is the part that is stupid and I completely disagree with, which is why I sell my books DRM free. Yes, if you are caught distributing it, I'm still going to be able to win a lawsuit against you because we have laws about that. And I would hope that people wouldn't pirate my books and start mass distributing them to other people. But at the same time, my books are DRM free where possible. And unfortunately, some places like India do not allow Amazon to sell DRM-free books for some reason. But if you buy my books from Amazon in the United States, generally they are DRM-free. If you decide that Amazon's crazy, you can download a copy of that book. You can use it on FB Reader. You can put it on your different devices. Hey, if you want, you can share it with a friend as long as he promises to delete it after 30 days. You know, that's cool. Those are the things that we should have. So all this Mexican law did is bring Mexico up to the similar standards. Now, other people in Reddit posts were commenting and saying, you know, is this going to be enforceable? It's Mexico, probably not. You know, you can go down Mexico City, to my understanding. I haven't been there, but you can go downtown Mexico City and find all sorts of pirated stuff, which is all still illegal. It's been illegal. So ultimately, what this is going to do is, if there is it's going to give the government power that if there's somebody out there actually doing this mass breaking of rules, mass breaking of laws, like here in the United States, it's going to give the government the power to shut it down. But for your average user, your average consumer, I would say you probably don't have a lot to worry about. Here in the United States, it's kind of like ripping your DVDs. Technically, it should be a violation of the DMCA Section D because a DVD is encrypted. But as long as you're taking your own DVD and making your own copy for your own personal use on your own personal home network, generally, you're not going to have somebody busting down your door. Now, if somebody does bust down your door for other reasons and they can't bust you for whatever they think and they find, oh, this guy ripped all his DVDs, it would give them a way to possibly persecute you, or prosecute you rather, for violating that. But nobody's going to be searching for that unless you start mass distributing those anyway. Again, is that a law that should be changed? Absolutely. If I go out and I buy the copy of the DVD and I keep and physically own a copy of that DVD, I should have the right to consume the contents of that DVD any form that I see fit, as long as I'm not passing that on to anybody else, whether for free, thus hindering their profit off of their own work, or for any other form of fee, thus making me profitable on somebody else's work. I completely get those fundamental aspects, but there should absolutely be provisions in the law that says I, as the owner of that particular disc, should have the right to make a copy of that disc for my own personal use, in my own way, in my own standards. That is what we are seeing when we're talking about this. So that's really all that's going on in Mexico. No, it's not illegal to take your device and install Linux on it. No, it's not illegal to change the hard drive in your computer. That is all overblown by the fact that nobody outside of Mexico is reporting this. And really, the one group that pushed out this whole thing is the anonymous Twitter group. And I don't particularly consider them absolutely authoritative on any information. So that is my thoughts on all this. Let me know your thoughts, and if you find information that, like, valid, real information that conflicts with that, let me know. But best I can tell, a few people saw a law, completely misunderstood what was being said in it, pushed it out in different ways, and now we have a bunch of misinformation going out. Is it fake news? No, it's just misunderstood information about what's going out there. So those are my thoughts based on the research that I did. Let me know your thoughts, and if you found actual, real, credible information to the contrary, definitely let me know. Thanks for coming along on this video. Thank you to the supporters on Patreon and on Think Life Media for help supporting this channel. Thank you guys who keep this place open. So with that, thanks for coming along, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.